Hey everyone, I'm Johnny, I'm an engineer, and you should write more custom hooks if you're doing React. Let's start with a spoiler and we'll elaborate. My position is that on the backend, we're less likely to leave code looking like this. We'd probably refactor to this, or even this, to meet our code quality standards. But on the front end, with React hooks, we're happy leaving things here. We shouldn't be. I want this. And I want this regardless of whether the implementation uses a library like React Query or Apollo client or whatever. Don't stop here, get to here. Cool, so let's zoom out a little bit. React hooks is the modern way to do state management and side effects in React. React itself exposes a series of hooks, and other libraries use and compose them together to write their own custom hooks. And so can you. We have been doing it more at Zoopla with good results, but I don't see it as much in the wild. And I think it's a PR problem. Maybe custom hooks sounds scary. Maybe if we were talking about extracting out custom function React components, we'd be scared of that as well. In any case, there are some tough things we do manage to get better at as we write more software, separating concerns, extracting modules that have a single responsibility, and naming those modules sensibly. And yet, with React hooks, we've taken a step back doing all of that. It's not the fault of the hooks themselves. On the contrary, a key design principle of React hooks is to facilitate exactly that. And yet, I see a lot of this. So, why do I think custom hooks are just methods with bad PR? Well, let me set up a scenario. Let's say we're doing a show that we distribute both as a YouTube video and a podcast. Let's say that we've written this endpoint to get us all the episodes. Its job is to get all the videos, add the respective podcasts, if they exist, and return them as an array of episodes. So, what's happening on the backend? We've got some tests against the spec, they're all green, and if we look at the resolver at the moment, it looks like this. So it's all good, but I don't think this would fly as a pull request. I don't think the code quality is there. I think I'd be getting comments on how this file is doing too much, how it could be a bit more readable. There is extra mental load involved to understand, oh, this is getting the videos, doing the request to the YouTube API, some basic error handling, mapping the response. Oh, this chunk here is getting the podcast episodes from the DB, I guess. Why are we reducing here? We need this as a map, a record, because of how we're combining videos with podcasts here, according to the title. I see. So, if this is getting the videos, why not have it behind a method? Like this. If this is getting the podcasts, how about we do similar? If this is combining them to what we define as an episode, how about extracting its own method that does what it says on the tin? Seeing this, it's easier to understand what's happening just by reading method names, not business logic. So more neurons are free to identify things like, oh, an opportunity to parallelize those requests here. And hey, maybe all of this can be this. Then the handler isn't directly concerned on the how it's getting the episodes, but with the fact that it's getting them. What does this endpoint do? Oh, gets the most popular episodes. Now, let's not bike set this too much. The point that I'm trying to make here is that on the backend, would be more likely to guide an implementation to look more like this and not like this. Maybe like this, but again, not like this. This is generally seen as a starting point to refactor into something nicer. But on the front end, let's say all we want is to hit that endpoint and display cards for the episodes we get back. No combining, no nothing. All we gotta do is hit that endpoint that's done all this work for us. So we've got our tests, we've got our code, cards already done. So for the list, let's have some state that starts as null. let's use a side effect for the asynchronous call. It works, tests all green, I can see it with my own eyeballs. So let's merge, zip it, and move on with our lives, right? Wrong! Why are we settling for this? Where is the refactoring step? Where is separating concerns? Where is having sensible names? When I see a React component, I want it to either be JSX straight up or single line custom hooks plus JSX. And again, that includes whether you're using the vanilla hooks included in React or custom hooks by third-party libraries like React Query, Apollo Client, Xstate, Redux. By the way, you shouldn't be using Redux for your server state, but I wanted to stress that even this, I would extract to a custom hook. No reason for this component to be bringing in Redux stuff and selectors. This allows us to more easily change the implementation detail of exactly how we get the episodes. Of course, a question here might be, are we not hiding complexity here? Do we really hide whether we're using Redux or React Query or whatever? Well, I wouldn't say we're hiding it. We're making it opt-in. If you want to reduce the complexity of your app, you can try doing more TDD, test-driven development. There are a few techniques to help you with that goal, but your app will have some complexity somewhere, and it's all about deciding where to put it. If you put all of your complexity in a single component, it's harder to see opportunities to reduce it. It's harder to spot bugs, it's harder to refactor it. So do try to compartmentalize the complexity so you may tackle the individual pieces at your leisure. Opt in to see how you actually get the episodes by command clicking, but you soon need to understand how you do optimizely, how you fetch the episodes, how you authorize the user, how you structure your UI, all in a single place. This is not increasing complexity, it's transferring it into more manageable, dedicated places. Alright, so how do we do this? How do we get from here to here? Personally, I like to create a custom hook which does nothing, and then slide up the related hooks from the component into it. Then I use the new custom hook in the component and bam, still works. We can also extract the hook into its own file, get rid of all of that. Great! Again, this works the same if you're fetching your data in a different way, if you're doing React Query, Apollo Client, Redux.
2 hours later.
How you get this data is an implementation detail, and with a custom hook, you can more easily switch out the details as you see fit. And you can do this for all sorts of hooks, whether they have synchronous side effects, element refs, and if your hook depends on something, like a component prop, you may pass it in as an argument. So let's say here we're using Next.js. So we've got some initial data fetched server side. We can work with it like so. Alright, so hopefully you're sold. You want to write more custom hooks and you're wondering, how do we test this? Well, here we're testing the component that uses the custom hook, so we're getting a bit more confidence and a bit less coupling to the implementation detail. If there were multiple components using the same hook, then that's a bit more work. You may end up testing, but it's essentially the same thing in many places, duplicating some tests. I generally think that's worth it, but it's arguable, and sometimes even I don't think it's worth it. So another option we can reach for is unit testing the custom hook. For that, we need testing library React hooks. React hooks are just methods, only they aren't. You may only run them inside React components and other hooks. so you can't unit test them as easily as actually regular methods. Much like how React components are just methods, only they aren't. In any case, if we want to unit test our hook without wrapping it inside a component ourselves, we can use testing library React hooks like so. In summary, use more custom hooks. You too can make your React life easier by writing more custom hooks, by having your React components be inline returns of JSX or single-line hooks, then your JSX. Closer to this, not this. Do you agree? I agree with myself. I think that was well said. But what's your take? Let me know in the comments. Thanks a bunch for watching. See you around.